Support the channel by becoming a channel member or joining the Patreon through patreon.com/manlightfoot. Welcome to another episode of Simple Thoughts. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the recent season of Bob's Burgers, particularly a recent episode they did. It's mainly having to do with something I feel has been going great with Bob's Burgers lately. I think they've started getting more deep and more emotional with their writing and such. I'm kind of feeling like it's just, they're really getting good now. And the first two episodes of this latest season, they've been really good, actually. The premiere episode itself was mainly a kind of a callback to their season 12 finale, where it was the Blade Runner Tina episodes, and they're kind of doing something here where it's like a Western theme, but it's more focused on Louise and Linda. But we're not really talking about that episode. The big episode I want to talk about is this episode involving Rudy. It's the second episode of this season, and it's a first, actually. It's an actual first for Bob's Burgers because it's the first time they decided to fully focus on Rudy. They actually give him his own episode, and they decided to really show out for this. They decided to bring out as much emotional heavyweights as they can with this, because it honestly, to me, feels like top 5 Bob's Burgers episodes.
What?
And that's crazy to think that, like I said, it's about Rudy, a side character in the whole show, but it genuinely is that good. And it even captures the idea of, being a child but having to deal with a major change in your life, So with this episode, they decided to focus on a major thing about Rudy that we know about, but we don't really discuss a lot in the show. His parents are divorced. And so with that, obviously that would have a bit of its challenges to it, especially for a child. And most of the time it's usually played up as a joke, the dad is still dating and he's meeting women who just yeah, that's not about to click for you, bro. And so, but and Rudy's just kind of there, it's yeah, I'm here, it's fine, you're doing that and whatnot. It's sort of played like a joke, and it's funny the way they play it up, but that's just the thing. Here, they decided to really dive into it and actually explore how a divorce can affect some children, and I like how it's executed in this manner. They really utilize things by having his main interest be his magic. He loves doing magic tricks. That's a big thing for him. And so the story is more or less about him having to attend this dinner with both his parents, but they're divorced and they're bringing, another partner with them to this dinner. And it's weird for him now because it's I'm operating completely differently, and I'm also entertaining 2 other people who I don't really know like that. So the pressure's on, because he would normally do this for his parents when they were together. It was just a nice little thing he would do, and it's really sweet. It's really sweet. Rudy's a really sweet child, so and they really played into that, and that's something I really got to give them props for. But thing about this is that as he was doing those tricks, every time he would do them for his parents, they would be growing more and more apart. And it's actually really nice and clever. And I'm pretty sure it's kind of a homage to Gone with the Wind, with how they with what they do. They do this nice shot where the camera is panning backwards, it's zooming out. As we see Rudy doing his tricks, we basically see each time we're seeing them grow more and more apart. It's really nice. It's a cool detail. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's a good homage to Gone with the Wind. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But it's a really good shot. And it's genuinely something that you just feel. You feel those emotions running high with Rudy and what he's going through. A thing I should mention is that at the dinner, Rudy actually messes up the trick. And in that moment, he breaks down. It makes him even have to leave the restaurant. And honestly, it's so good because you're just really thinking about the fact that this kid was really banking on this dinner going fine, at least. It's like, okay, this is a new territory where we're doing these dinners, but there's new people here. But the one constant is doing the magic trick and succeeding at that, and everybody being happy and all that. But the sad part is he failed, and it actually hurt. He thought, at least that's the one thing I got going right for me. But in that moment, it failed. I really appreciate that they went that far with that, and that it actually really hit the way it did, because that was just so strong of a moment. And it's a great portrayal of like boyhood, even like there's a specific moment in this episode where not a lot is happening. Like, it's really just this one particular shot, and it's just of Rudy just standing by his parents and just looking around as they're conversing and talking about stuff with the restaurant and all that. I really like how they're just on this frame of this unassuming boy who's just unsure of what's going on or everything else. He's just hard focused on this other big thing. Like, he's just in the moment of, I gotta be in my head a little bit, and he's just standing around just like, yeah, I'm here. I'm here with them, and this is a different situation than what I'm used to. But all you could be is just in that moment, you know, because you're with your parents. You can't be anywhere else. And I love how it's done. I actually love how this whole entire episode was done. Like, the fact is, Rudy is like the sweetest kid on the entire show of Bob's Burgers, like, straight up. So I think it's amazing to me that they picked up on that. I think they knew a lot of people understand who Rudy is. It's like, he's just this sweet child who, you know, he runs with the Belcher kids. So, of course, he gets into trouble here and there. But overall, it's like, he's just a nice kid. And they know it's like there's still a tragedy to him. That's kind of the one thing that helps make him really endearing, is that he doesn't have like a great thing going on for himself. You know, his parents are divorced, and he's split between going back and forth between them. But, you know, they at least are not arguing. That's the other thing. It's like, it's not the worst type of divorce where it's like, oh, they were like bitter enemies and then they're like really fighting back and forth between each other in terms of custody and all that. It just feels like, okay, they're divorced and they have their proper arrangements and they can still like meet up and even have dinners, you know. And so it's like, okay, I like how it's all portrayed. I think it's done effectively. There's so much heart to it, you know. But obviously, the big thing to note about this is that it also kind of plays into another big thing that a lot of Bob's Burgers fans, you know, happen to do, and this one involves Louise, obviously. So, but it's done really sweet and really well, and it also manages to be a big moment for Louise, even though she's not in the episode. But I think it's just a well done episode overall. But we do got to get into that little nugget. So, on to it. But first... Hey y'all, I wanted to take some time to do a spotlight of some indie projects and shows that are already out right now, because I really think indie is a very important thing that we should show our love and support for. These are projects that are made by people who are very passionate about the medium of animation, and we definitely need to give some type of support to them, and I just wanted to use my platform to give a shout out to a few every now and then. I'm gonna make it more means to put you in the know about these indie projects and shows that are out there for you to support. The short I want to talk about today is Hugo's Mind Palace, a short created by Alistair Bowlby that focuses on a group of dimension-hopping retail workers that need to pay their rent lest they get evicted. They also collect the artifacts and sell them at their job. It's a cool pilot that has a unique quality to it. The dimension hopping allows for cool and out there worlds to appear, not to mention interesting concepts like a world with a lazy god in it that's just really kind of funny to see. The main gang are a fun bunch also. You got the positive one in Hugo, the cynical let's get the job type in Sam, and the shyster but reliable type in George. They're pretty endearing, especially with the looming threat of rent hanging over their heads. Certainly something many of us can relate to. The design and animation is nice, with it having a muted tone to it, but also having cool designs that help make it work. It's a pretty nice and effective pilot that can get you wanting to see more. Definitely go over to Alistair's channel and give the short a watch, and also be sure to sub to the channel as well.
Do you still have them?
Yeah, yes.
Can I walk Rudy back?
What?
Can I walk back to the restaurant with him?
So it's easy to think, wait, of course, if you're gonna have a Rudy episode, shouldn't Louise have some involvement? And as I was watching the episode, surprisingly she does, but it's a bit of a little involvement. And I think that was good on their part to do, because otherwise it would have felt like, oh, he couldn't carry the episode himself. No, he very much carries this. I straight up say Rudy carries this whole episode. It's all him. But we get really a good thing with Louise even. Like, it even builds on her character. And because a big thing that happens in this episode is that Rudy ends up running away during the dinner. He runs to the Belchers, which is nice because it's like Louise is his best friend. He's just in this moment where the Belchers are just, belching like normal, if you will.
Man, what the fuck is you talking about?
What the fuck was that?
I'm sorry, man. I wasn't thinking about it when I did it. I should have said like Burger King.
It's just him seeing just a family be a family. Like, yeah, they bicker back and forth, but they care about each other, and it's just, there's no split ups, there's no having to change up like your routines or anything like that. But the big thing that we get from this is that, it's like he's missing this, but we see that Louise is paying attention to him, and then he eventually lets it be known that he ran away, and now he needs to be returned. Pretty much, they're pretty much getting ready to drive Rudy back to the restaurant. Before like Bob finishes getting his keys, Louise basically just asks, hey, can I just walk him back? Because it's like, well, Rudy walked here just fine, so two of us walking back should be fine. Overall, like, she asks him like to be able to comfort him in this moment. Like, she basically was seeing him and saw that it's like, yeah, my friend is hurt, but I think he clearly could use me right now. She didn't say, hey, can me and the others walk him back? It's like, no, she suggested herself. She didn't have to, but it's a sweet moment for her, because it's like, oh, she could just do these things just because, like, she now is picking up on her friend when he's hurt. You know what I mean? It's going outside of just recognizing it when it's on just like her siblings. It's actually her recognizing other people outside of her like radar, basically, who would basically be out of her radar. Like, Rudy is now in her radar, basically. I'm here to be for him, to help him. I like that. I think that was really sweet on their part to end it like that. Like I said, he carries the episode, and then they get to this last part and it's like, good. I like how this is done. But obviously the big thing is some people look at that and they're just like, because a big thing people speculate about this show with Rudy and Louise is, they're both clearly really sweet to each other and all that, and they're only sweet to like each other usually. People speculate it's like, yeah, if the show were to end and they like do a time skip or something, it's like those two end up together, and it's like, yeah, you could see it. And it's possible the writers themselves are like, yeah, we're building towards that. Or maybe, I don't know. It depends on if and when the show finally decides, yeah, we're over. This is the last season. We don't know when that can be. It'll be a while, but like, I like how this played out. I like how this built on Louise in such a small way, but by a lot though. You know what I mean? Like, it still managed to build a lot for her character, because they just walk and they, converse and talk about it. He's just like, hey, I can teach you a secret about my magic and all that as they're walking. It's just so sweet. And then the way the credits roll, I'm like, I was like, there you go. You stuck the landing even in the credits. Y'all are great with that zoom out. Love it. And it's just a great episode, and I think it deserves to be in the conversation of top 5, because to me it captures boyhood and childhood in general, and I think it even captures that very weird feeling a child would have when going through divorce. Like, it's just something, I think it just captures that feeling perfectly, because it's a weird feeling. You don't know what it is or why it is, but it's just there. And I genuinely appreciate that they went as far as they did with it and stuck the landing through and through and built on their character. Honestly, if this is how they're going to be coming, because what was interesting was there was no jokes. There wasn't that many jokes, I should say. They were like, they very much played it straightforward, and it still was very effective. I really appreciate that type of stuff. If they keep doing that type of stuff, I'm pretty sure not all of the season's gonna be like that, but a good chunk of it probably is, and I think it still would turn out really great. Because they clearly have proven they got the chops for it. They got the chops to turn out some good emotional stuff, and I'm hoping we get more like this, because like I said, this to me is like top 5 Bob's Burgers. Like, I put it up there, and it's a really good Rudy episode, because Rudy deserved a lot of attention at some point, and I'm glad they finally gave him some, and they did not disappoint with this. That boy Rudy is definitely some magic, okay? He brings some magic to this series. He's great. Straight up. But that's just a thought.